Hello there, very good evening. This is the weekend edition of Primetime News on TV1. On behalf of the Newsfirst, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesud. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this evening.
President says Kothalawala Defence University will be brought under the University Grants Commission. Protests continue against the Kothalawala Defence University Bill. Opposition party leaders unite for a just society. Finance Minister says reopening the country will be prioritized.
On to your top story this evening. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the Sir John Kothalawala Defence University Bill will be brought under the University Grants Commission Act after removing its obstacles.
A meeting of the Buddhist Advisory Council was held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. Members of the Mahasangha were informed of the Sir John Kothalawala Defence University Bill and the government's work plan, including the COVID-19 vaccination program.
General Srimat John Kothalawala Rajyarakshaka Abhyasayatana Sansodana Panata Kiyala Tamai මේක යන්නේ.
This is titled as the Sir John Kothalawala Defence University Amendment Bill. We must make the necessary amendments and compile this into one act. This is why we have brought the new bill. We haven't introduced anything new through this. The objective is to compile everything into one act. Any legislation does not refer to the university structure. We hope to incorporate that into the legislation. Some people who oppose this say that it will not fall under the University Grants Commission Act. The Defence Ministry also wants this university to be brought under the University Grants Commission Act. But that cannot be done according to the current University Grants Commission Act. That is the same situation concerning the Pali University. We are taking steps to amend the University Grants Commission Act so that this university can also be brought under its purview. We hope to transform nursing colleges into universities. We also hope to establish a university by amalgamating the Coconut Research Institute and the Tea Research Institute, but that cannot take place under the existing provisions of the University Grants Commission Act. We will amend it to allow those entities to be brought under this legislation.
ඒවත් දැනට තියෙන පනත අනුව ප්‍රතිපාදන කොමිෂන් සභාවට ගේන්න බෑ. මේවත් ගේන්න එන පුළුවන් විදියට ඒ පනත සංශෝධනය කරනවා.
During the meeting, the president had also said he hopes that the vaccination drive in the Kandy district can be completed before the Dalada Perahera. He added that the World Health Organization has appreciated the country's vaccination program. The president pointed out that Sri Lanka is the leading nation in the South Asian region in terms of progress of the vaccination programs.
Trade unions, including teachers' associations, staged protests today in various parts of the island against the Kothalawala Defence University Bill.
The Samagi Jana Balavega staged several protests across the country today. One of the protests were held in Kalutara this afternoon. Protesters gathered opposite the Kalutara town hall and marched towards the Kalutara town. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa led the protest in the Kalutara town under the theme, "Let's not succumb to oppression."
We urge the government to immediately provide quick and sustainable solutions to the issues faced by the people. Due to the fuel price hike, cost of living has risen. People are finding it difficult to live. This is a two-faced government. This is a lying government. This is a corrupt government. This is a government that is destroying the people. There is no development. We can see that the free education system in the country will be at risk in the future based on the manner in which the government is functioning. Ministers of the government are making disgraceful statements against state sector employees and teachers. The state structure has been disgraced. The state structure has become inactive. Fishermen in this province are helpless. No concessions have been provided to the fishermen in this province. The people have been affected on all fronts like this throughout the country. Although Gotabaya Rajapaksa was the president, the country was run by Basil. Even when Mahinda Rajapaksa was the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, the country was run by Basil Rajapaksa. Just because Basil came down to the country after a month does not make him a magician. Basil cannot do this. The Rajapaksa family cannot do this. Where are the Pohottuwa supporters? There is growing opposition against this government that can be seen not only on Facebook but also on the ground as well.
A protest was staged at the Vallava town against a number of matters, including the rise in the cost of living. The protest was organised by parliamentarian of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Asoka Abesinghe. The group marched from Vallava town to Vallava marketplace and staged their protest.
The government has awarded the project to provide liquefied natural gas to the Kerawalapitiya LNG plant to America without calling for any tenders. We know that they will get a large amount of money through this as commissions. By awarding this project to America, I calculated that if they get a commission of 1 cent per unit of power, they will get a commission of 7.2 million every month. If they get a commission of 10 cents per unit of power, they will get 72 million every month.
Meanwhile, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya staged a protest this morning at the Ridiyagama town. The protesters marched from the Ridiyagama town to Ridiyagama bus halt and staged the demonstration.
We would like to ask the government to implement a program that would allow the people in the country to live. The solution is not to oppress them. A protest organised by the Samagi Jana Balawegaya was staged at the Veerakatiya town today. The protest was staged against a number of issues faced by the people, including the rising cost of living. This family enterprise is selling off the assets of the country. The reason for the lack of fertilizer is because they owe billions to fertilizer companies. So these companies are not providing them with fertilizer. A ship carrying fuel was stopped here for 5 days. The government has no way of paying them. The government has fallen down an abyss and cannot provide concessions to the public. A protest organised by the National People's Power was staged opposite the Fort railway station this morning. Student activists and civil society activists participated in the protest. This decision to limit the education of a student based on the amount of money that he or she has must not be made. This government is trying to sabotage free education. In other countries, there are educational facilities for officers and other members of the army. However, today this government is trying to make this the main education center in the country. This is a militarization of the education system in the country. They are trying to set up a university system outside the University Grants Commission run by the military. They are also preparing to provide education at a price. This is an attempt of this government to promote private education. This is an effort to reel back the free education system of this country. The government must work towards expanding free education. Instead, this government is trying to open the doors for only people with money to receive education. This bill must be withdrawn immediately.
අධ්‍යාපනය ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය වන දොරටු පමණක් විවෘත කරන්න. ඒ නිසා මේ පනත වහාම අකුලා ගත යුතුයි.
මේකේ භයානක කොටස් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක්
There are two dangerous parts in this bill. One is the government's attempt to establish a parallel education system, to set up a higher education structure that provides education for a price and is funded by the government treasury. The other issue is that the education is proposed to be provided to civilians in this country through the military. We are not asking them to halt the passage of this act, but to completely withdraw it.
Many sections in this act refer to the military and how a military framework will be established at those institutions. A university is a place where research is done. The research is questioned, and a place that has the freedom to criticize and a place that practices democracy. But we can confirm that this institution will not have that freedom to criticize and engage in that sort of thinking.
These leaders are trying to bring this institution that has a free environment and has created scholars under the control of the military. They want the military to control this and create a society of slaves that follows orders. That is what they are using this bill to do.
The people have given power to a group of leaders who have no education or understanding to decide on their future. We need to understand that this is the reason for the current crisis in the country. All we are saying is that the governance of this country by rowdies must be changed.
The government is bound to provide free education to everyone. To relieve the pressure of doing that, they are now drawing up plans to sell education. This is not private education. This is the sale of education by the government. Meanwhile, the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna staged a protest opposite the Thalawakele bus stand, opposing government moves to suppress dissent. Cost of goods have risen. People are finding it difficult to live. To add to this burden, the prices of fuel were increased. Just like the Express Pearl vessel that sunk in the Indian Ocean, this government is also failing in the face of the opposition, hate and the worries of the people. The Janatha Vimukti Peramuna launched another protest in Wallasmulla today. Before coming to power, the government said that they will provide concessions to the people and that they will reduce the cost of rice, dal and sugar. But within 1.5 years of coming to power, the government has neglected those promises and created an environment that is unsuitable to live.
Meanwhile, the Students' Movement for Free Education convened a media briefing in Colombo today. General Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Union, Joseph Stalin, and Frontline Socialist Party Propaganda Secretary Duminda Nagamua attended the media briefing. They were released from quarantine yesterday.
We launched this protest calling for the Kothalavala bill to be withdrawn. While acts of suppression are being carried out, we know that the Kothalavala bill has not been withdrawn. Just as we fought against the bill, all forces will unite and pressure the withdrawal of the Kothalavala bill. The government does not have to debate this in parliament or take this up for vote. It should be withdrawn. These incidents are a testament to the government's oppression. We are calling on the government to understand our message. We are ready to face their oppression. We aren't afraid of you. We know that when the government commercializes education, a price tag will be attached to it. That is what has happened. Regardless of any oppression, we will continue to fight against the Kothalavala Defence Bill and the salary anomalies of teachers. What does this bill contain? It allows the creation of a board similar to the University Grants Commission with the inclusion of senior military officials. Many universities can be established under that structure after that. Permission can be given to any other university in this aspect. Degrees can also be decided under this system. The value of the SLMC would be lost. They are entrusting the country's education to the army. The bill can be passed as they have a 2/3 majority in parliament. If this is passed in parliament, this will become a historic struggle.
we will launch a struggle to defeat the legislation.
සම්මත කරපු පනතක් පරදවන අරගලයක් බවට මේ අරගලයක් පත් කරන එක අපි ආණ්ඩුවට අවධාරණය කියනවා. පිටිගින් දෙකටම කිව්වා විශ්වවිද්‍යාල
We are repeatedly calling for this to be brought under the University Grants Commission. If they are trying to remove the obstacles and then attempt to privatize education, we wish to inform the government that we will not allow that to happen. The government failed as it tried to interfere with the movements of workers and students. If they are bracing to engage in more acts of oppression, then we are ready to defeat them. We aren't afraid of them.
Meanwhile, certain trade unions convened a joint media briefing today. The Ceylon Teachers Service Union and the Public Services United Nurses Union were present.
We reminded this government that the trade unions in this country are ready to make history. We have given the government a message that all civil organizations in the country will work together to make this happen. The president has announced that the KDU will be brought under the University Grants Commission. If the government is attempting to abolish free education in this country by introducing private education and other curriculums, we would like to inform the government that we will stand against this.
Members of the government expressed diverse views on the Sir John Kotalawala Defence University Bill and the decision to release protesters from quarantine.
An attempt is underway to thwart the fight against COVID-19 and to expedite its spread. Their only hope is to cause the loss of some lives and to carry out a political struggle. The government will not bow down to that. Protests can be staged democratically. It is important to follow health guidelines always. Otherwise, we will have to send everyone to quarantine.
We will continue to move forward by taking the demands of the people and their ideas into consideration. The government has decided to release them. Certain decisions are made under some regulations. When the need arises to rectify it, we will do that.
If there were no infected people at the site of these protests, then the government has no need to keep them or take revenge against them. That is why they were released after taking the necessary action.
They had distorted that statement by removing the part which said that teachers are like gods. As a seasoned individual, I will remain undeterred by that. We won't be deterred by not just Stalin of Russia, but the Stalin here as well. I hope to apprise the country on the KDU matter on Monday. The people then have the right to react. But we will deal separately with a group that has pushed the government to the wall and opposes the process of implementing our political work plan and the government's policies.
We
will always stand against the privatization of education. That is why we said that the Kotalawala bill won't be taken up for a vote and that it would be amended. The vote was postponed. We hope to bring in amendments that will update the education system by protecting free education and pass any bill to that effect.
The National Movement for a Just Society held a conference for opposition parties in Colombo today.
The conference was attended by leader of the Samagi Jana Balavega, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, deputy leader of the United National Party Ruwan Wijewardena, Partali Champika Ranavaka, Hemakumara Nanayakara, parliamentarians M.S. Simandiran, Mano Ganeshan and a number of other party leaders and party representatives.
We are going through a dark age. We do have an opportunity to come out of this dark age. We need unity to do that. This meeting today is a historic one. The strength that we have here will enable us to face off against any elements of injustice in the society.
The country needs solution to problems. We need to strike an agreement with the general public that is called a social contract. We need to look back at our old journey and the aspirations of Venerable Sobhita Thero before we embark on a new one. How many of those aspirations were fulfilled? What are the aspirations that were not realized? We need to look into all of those and unite to prevent this democratic society from sliding down into a dictatorship. Let's work towards establishing proper democracy in this country that is becoming a police state. Let's all unite for this cause.
I've expressed my opinion that all of us need to come onto one stage if we are to pressurize this government. We as the United National Party are dedicated to ensure the protection of democracy and fundamental rights of the people. I must also say that this forum can be used to provide some solutions to the issues faced by the people of the country.
For the first time in history, we have taken the first step towards bankruptcy. A new class of poverty has been created in the country. The most important thing is that in this crumbling society, the trust of the public in the government as well as us will break down. Oppression is also being used because there is no other solution. The law is not being considered when state assets are sold. State land is acquired and transferred. Quarantine law is being used to oppress political opponents. This oppression is also continuing to aggravate. The government is going down the same road that Myanmar took. If not, the government will have to make the bitter choice of going to the IMF.
මියන්මාරයේ පාරේ ටික ටික ඉදිරියට යමින් තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ආණ්ඩුවට තෝරගන්න වෙන්නේ නැවත වතාවක් ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය අරමුදලේ තිත්ත කසාය බොන පාර.
From that, we cross over to a short commercial break. More news on the other side.
Bellboy's got you covered. Download Bellboy today to get all your household appliance fixing and repairs done. Now available on Android and iOS.
The magical sounds of Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. This year's Summer Night Concert, 18th of July 2021, 5 p.m. onwards, exclusively on TV1.
Welcome back to the news. Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa said that the government has prioritized the procedure to reopen the country, adding that relief will be provided to the public through proper economic management.
Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa made this statement during a meeting with heads of provincial governing bodies at Temple Trees this morning. The minister highlighted that both local and foreign sources of revenue have been blocked owing to the intermittent closure of the country. He said that the country must be reopened as soon as possible to reactivate these modes of cash inflow into the country, while pointing out that the country had a reserve of only $1.2 billion during the time of the war. The finance minister claimed that with a reserve of about $4 billion, the country has been able to overcome the prevailing economic crisis through proper economic management. He alleged that false propaganda has affected the appreciation of the dollar, adding that he is ready to face this situation.
The State Ministry of Provincial Councils has instructed all provincial councils to take steps to halt the slaughtering of cattle. The secretary to the State Ministry said that officials at provincial levels have been instructed to act in line with the government's policy. He added that steps have been taken to amend 4 bills required for this purpose and that they would be tabled in the cabinet.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa had submitted a cabinet memorandum on the 17th of December last year to ban cattle slaughter in Sri Lanka. The secretary to the State Ministry of Provincial Councils, SDAB Boralassa, said the decision to ban cattle slaughter had not been implemented, although provincial councils had been notified about the cabinet decision. He added that the State Ministry has instructed provincial councils to act in line with the cabinet decision and to refrain from making alternate decisions. Colombo Municipal Commissioner Roshini Dissanayake told Newsfirst that the Colombo Municipal Council's veterinarian has been instructed to act according to the instructions of the State Ministry's secretary.
Meanwhile, farmers staged a protest in Polonnaruwa demanding a solution to the fertilizer crisis.
The protest was jointly organized by the Movement for the Struggle of Farmers and the Frontline Socialist Party. The government banned chemical fertilizer because it does not have foreign currency reserves. Although foreign currency inflows has stopped, the outflow of foreign currency remains the same. This government has no shame. A ship with fertilizer has arrived at the harbour and now they are investigating it. Do ships arrive like cars? Do ships arrive at the harbour like bikes and cars? Who brought down this fertilizer? How did they import it? Because of your policies, the lives of farmers are going down the drain. Until they reap their harvest, they are in debt. They have no way of selling their harvest. Meanwhile, university professors expressed their views regarding the fertilizer crisis. With the technology we have at present, we will not be able to attain prosperity in the agriculture industry only through the usage of organic fertilizer. With the usage of organic fertilizer, the requirement of chemical fertilizer will continue to exist. We have ample research data to support that fact. Therefore, if we don't move to integrated plant nutrition management with immediate effect, our poor agricultural development will affect food security. Views regarding the adverse effects of using liquid fertilizer as a result of the chemical fertilizer ban were expressed. Various farmers are hoping to obtain liquid nitrogen fertilizer, especially fertilizer with amino acids. Amino acids were manufactured since the 1950s. At first, amino acids were manufactured through plants and animals. However, with the increase in demand, it was manufactured through different other means. The smallest amino acid, glycine, is being used as glycine nitrogen fertilizer. Glycine amino acid is manufactured by chemicals such as formaldehyde, ammonia and potassium cyanide. Potassium cyanide is a poisonous substance. Formaldehyde is a carcinogenic substance. If we are using such amino acids for agriculture, great attention must be paid to cleanliness, since there is a high possibility of them having an impact on health and the environment. If the land on which amino acids are applied contain heavy metals, there is a chance of heavy metals being absorbed by plants and becoming poisonous. Due to this, farmers must be vigilant when using amino acids. If not, it could lead to unexpected outcomes.
There is no life without water. You cannot put a price on water. That is the reason why, for over 10 years, Gammadda launched projects to provide clean drinking water to the people. The Gammadda team launched this project in Vengalassettikulam, Vaunia, with great happiness.
For several people, earning a living to feed their families is a constant battle. This is one such report that highlights the worsening woes of the people.
These fishermen at work seem to have achieved a considerable catch, but their nets shield an untold story that has affected their lives. It was 23 years ago that N. Janakanthan took his first steps in the fishing industry.
I have no means to live. I am living in another person's house. I don't have a place of my own. I caught about 25 kilos of fish, but I am unable to sell at least 10 kilos. Many are questioning whether they are fit for consumption. Even if I catch 10 kilos, we can only sell about 7 or 8 kilos. For
Janakanthan, feeding his 4 children is a daily battle. But he is not alone. Like Janakanthan, other fishermen can only breathe a sigh of desperation as they stare into the seas that are their only hope.
I earn only about 1,000 rupees daily. Earlier, we could sell our catch to a certain extent, but sales have dropped at present. I have to travel about 40 kilometers to sell my catch. I earn a living that is sufficient for my daily needs, but there is no fish. I had to return home empty-handed on a few occasions this week. The cost of goods has increased. I have 3 children. We spent about 300 or 400 rupees to pump petrol, but we have to return empty-handed.
We have obtained loans under 10% interest rate. They have to give us 200 rupees daily.
in an ordinary situation, it is the monsoonal tidal waves that would have affected their livelihoods. But today, they are forced to battle many severe storms in life. When will these fishermen witness some hope in their lives once again?
Government set foot on a project today to resolve the issues faced by villagers of Kristavakulam in Vavnia in obtaining clean drinking water. The project is expected to benefit 145 families in the village.
The foundation laying ceremony for a drinking water project in the village of Kristavakulam in Vavnia was held this morning. A group including Navy Captain Rohan Disanaikar and the officer in charge of the Chedikulam police station were among those present at the event. The project is funded by V. Nadesan and is being carried out with the assistance of the Navy. 423 people from 145 families are expected to benefit from the project. The people of this village have been facing several illnesses due to the lack of clean drinking water. We highlighted this problem during the Minnal program on Shakti TV.
The Nadesan family has assisted us through the Shakti TV Minnal program. We have been suffering without clean water for about 10 to 15 years. We express our heartfelt gratitude to the donors' family and Shakti TV.
We wish to express our heartfelt gratitude to Gammadda and Mr. Nadesan, who had come forward as the donor for the project. The struggles of these people to obtain clean drinking water was first brought to light on the 26th of September last year through the Makkaludan Minnal program aired on our sister channel Shakti TV. V. Nadesan, a benevolent donor, then came forward to render his assistance in alleviating the problems faced by these villagers. I felt extremely sad upon witnessing the suffering of the people after it was revealed on the Minnal program. Therefore, I wish to thank Shakti TV. I also wish to thank the Navy as they will be involved in this project.
Sri Lankan cricket skipper Dasun Shanaka says they hope to pose a strong challenge to India as they begin the limited over series tomorrow.
Sri Lanka and India will face each other in 3 one-day internationals and 3 T20 internationals during the tour. The first ODI will begin at the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Sri Lanka and India have faced each other in 159 ODIs so far. The hosts have won 56 encounters while India has won 91. One match had ended in a tie while 11 matches had ended in a draw.
We don't have senior players on our side, but we shouldn't be discouraged by that. That is because all these players have displayed good performances. Senior players will continue to hold some value as we progress. The youngsters learn through the experiences of the seniors, but we cannot allow the standards of cricket to drop because they are not in the side. We must be up to international standards when we are playing that brand of cricket. I feel a captain must be allowed to lead a side for a couple of years. I believe that this will be a competitive series. I trust my players. I have spoken to them about things that should be done.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the Newsfirst, the voice of the people, I am Martin Satyanesan, along with sign language interpreter Taraka Gabriel. You take care and good night.